side. So obviously connection with some of these teams winning. We saw what happened with Atlanta midway through the season in their record, how the Cubs decided to wave the white flag, start over. The Braves went all in and won a World Series. The White Sox losing to the Astros, who would go on to be the AL champions and lose in the World Series. Paulie, I want to start off with you. What do you think moving forward for the Cubs and Sox? How does this World Series affect them? What do you think they're going to do during this offseason as we get ready for 2022? And then we'll move on to Marver to see what the scout has to say.
Well, with the Cubs, it's going to be a lot of question marks, especially with not being able to retain some of the guys from their championship in the core, and just letting all of those guys kind of flitter away and maybe not getting the return that they deserved or expected when they were trying to figure out the long term. As for the Sox, there's three key needs that they've got to fulfill, and they need to figure out their 5 starting pitchers, and if Dallas Keuchel factors into that, or Carlos Rodon if they want to bring him in, but that's another story altogether. They need to figure out who their opening day second baseman is, and a very White Sox move would be to have Leury Garcia be that guy. Or they got to figure out what their right fielder situation is. And there's a lot of options for second base and right field. It just really all depends if this team is going to spend money to win next season. I think they sacrificed a little bit too much in hindsight by getting rid of Nick Madrigal to bring in Craig Kimbrell. Of course, on July 30th, you would pull the trigger on that trade. But now that you wouldn't pull the trigger on that trade because Craig Kimbrell just really didn't fulfill the need that the White Sox wanted in that whole trade. So I think those are the 3 biggest concerns. When you look at the teams that made it to the playoffs, or at least made it far in the playoffs, look at how solid those infields were for both the Astros and the Braves. That's why the Braves moves was replacing 2 outfielders with 4 outfielders was able to work out so well. The White Sox are not as lucky in the sense that they have a core infield. They have that question mark at second base. And now you have to wonder, do you move Moncada back to second and go get a third baseman? Or, what Tim Anderson kind of disappeared down the stretch. Is he going to be 100%? Who is your first baseman? Eventually it's not going to be Abreu, and you have to rotate with, Abreu, Grandal, and Jimenez as your designated hitter. So there are a lot of question marks for the White Sox, but at the very least, they do have a healthy core that should be able to get them to the playoffs next year. And this is kind of an essential window for them based on what the other teams in the division are doing. So the Tigers are sneaking up on you. The Indians have, a checkbook that they can play with. The Royals have a little bit of a core that they're building. The Twins, they're the biggest question mark in the division because they should have been the favorite by many experts to win the division this year, and they won the division in previous years, but they completely fell apart down the stretch. So we'll see if they're able to recover quickly or if this is going to be another down year for them. But the White Sox can't play around. If they don't make the playoffs in 2022, there's no guarantee that they make it 2023 and beyond.
You know what, Devin? Marver, I see you. I'm going to get to you in 1 second, but Devin, I see you, foaming at the mouth. What do you want to see? What do you want to see these White Sox do? What are your expectations after hearing what Paul just said for the White Sox? And if you want to, a little bit Cubs conversation, but more importantly, the White Sox in the 2022 campaign.
Let me just adjust my White Sox hat here for everyone. But again, the White Sox, when they have, last year and the year before, they definitely made some big free agent moves. I don't see it happening this year. And, I'm with Paul. Maybe you should have gone and traded Nick Madrigal, but, I'd really like to know, Paul, what is your opinion on them offering Craig Kimbrell his extension for, I believe, $16 million?
Well, it provides, an asset. The worst case scenario is he's still on the team and they can DFA him, which is a lot of money to get rid of. But it definitely is a market to try and trade closers. And I think if there's value in Alex Colomé after he left the White Sox, then there's got to be value in Craig Kimbrell after he leaves the White Sox. So I think the only reason they picked up that option is because it's below the qualifying offer and they can at least get some value if they trade him for somebody.
Marver, No, go ahead, Devin, please.
I didn't even think about that because, that's the thing. I'm like, you mentioned a lot in the relief pitching, a bullpen that's stable. Other than DePera, I really, in Crochet, it's like, who's really a consistent reliever on that team, And looking at the second base free agents here, it's like there really isn't anyone, big names that really draw to be a good sign for the White Sox here. So, yeah, maybe keeping out like Kimbrell to trade. So I see the White Sox doing more trades and I see the Cubs making more free agent moves.
And that's why, Marver, I wanted to jump in and get you in on this really fast, is to see why where you think the Cubs are going to end up going on this offseason, right? Because you have, you hear the excitement between Paul and Devin and the nuance of a playoff team and trying to make sure you keep the division below you. What do you think the Cubs are going to end up doing?
Well, first of all, I was going to just say that I noticed that Rodon, Luis Garcia are free agents, and so is Tepera. Otherwise, their core is intact, and they don't have to worry about the Indians. They have to worry about the Guardians now, but that's another subject. As far as the Cubs are concerned, they're trying to catch 2013 a lightning in a bottle again, in my opinion, where they're going to probably sign a big-time pitcher like a Lester. They're going to try to draft well and get duplicate the Baez, Bryant, Rizzo trio, or they got a good prospect from the Mets, but the rest of them I don't have much stock in. That was the best player that they got. They got
some guy with Armstrong,
some guy with a hyphenated name from the Mets, Crow something or other. But in any event, they need to try to do that. Now, if they don't go that route, they need to do free agents right now. It's particularly pitching, and insofar as Kimbrel's concerned, I don't think that he's able to perform unless he's in a high leverage situation. It looks like to me, the eighth inning didn't work for him. But the Sox will be fine. They have a good core. The Cubs, like I've said before, they're going to go nowhere for several years. Whether they go the youth route or whether they try to go completely free agent, they have plenty of money to spend. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting offseason for both the Cubs and White Sox, and it's going to be fun.